beautiful day out there today. Like really, really nice. One of the nicest of the year. We should go test this outside. I've never actually taken it into like the real world. I've only rode it around here. Let's go see how it is.
Get you whatever you want. I'll settle for nothing. As long as
This is probably a terrible idea. I feel like this is really just meant for like indoor use, but hey, you can't knock it until you've tried it, right? So let's go try it.
if our chances are getting brighter, but I want you to know.
Yeah, it's not quite like riding a one wheel around. If you didn't know how these things work, you kind of have to like move your feet back and forth.
Imagine living without it.
And yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun.
Heaven is worth fighting for, you know. I'll be standing right next to you.
Going downhill is kind of fun, but going uphill, it's just, wow, it's a workout.
It won't be easy, but it's true.
Okay, enough shenanigans. Let's talk about why we're really watching this video. All of us have a style to our work. The way that we do things in our films. Man, it's really bright out. I regret not bringing sunglasses. All of us have a style, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna stick to that style every single time for every single project. For example, if you like, a dark and moody, slow paced, that kind of style, when Coca-Cola comes at you and they're like, we want this happy summer vibes video, you're not gonna do that dark and moody style. And does that mean that you should just say no to the project? No, obviously not. You're just gonna have to change the style up and use a style that works for that project. No one style is perfect for everything, and until you're somebody like David Fincher or Quentin Tarantino or Wes Anderson and you can do only the projects that you want, you're gonna have to do some styles that maybe aren't your favorite. And there's a bunch of different styles, so how do we figure out which one you should use for your project?
So yeah, there's a bunch of styles. There's, the handheld look. You can go perfect camera movements, gimbals and cranes and dollies and jibs, all of that stuff. Or you can go no movement, just stationary tripod shots. You can go high key lighting, which is kind of like a bright Friends look, or you can go low key, which is that dark and moody. Your color grade, your music choices, the way that you edit things, the sound design, all of those things affect the style of your project. And in general, you want to choose a style that tells your story the best, the style that gets your point across the best, not necessarily the coolest looking one or the one that you get to use the most cool equipment. The one that tells your story best, that's the style that you want to go for. And I'm going to be using my new doc series on creators to kind of illustrate this. This episode may or may not be out yet, depending on how long it took me to edit this and how hard it was to cut all that good stuff that Jesse was talking about, Jesse Driftwood. Fun fact, that's not his last name. If you know what his last name is, you're a true fan. Also, is 20 minutes too long for a mini doc on YouTube? Because it's looking like it's gonna be at least 20 minutes. It's hard to cut down, really hard. And I think I gotta go inside because otherwise I'm gonna get like a million comments about how much I'm squinting because it's so bright out here and I forgot my sunglasses. Okay, let's go back up to the office. Was way harder to get around than I thought. Also, we recorded some more podcast episodes. It should be coming out this week. Hopefully. Should be. Hopefully. Stay tuned. Should be out this week. Finally. It's been a long time, eh? Alright, so my idea for these small little docs on different creators is to kind of show the real life behind the scenes of what it's like being that person. Because I think we have a lot of weird misconceptions and ideas of what it's like, especially to be a really big YouTuber or Instagrammer. That life is just amazing. You're just having fun all the time. It's super easy. You're just chilling, relaxing all the time, barely working like at all, but you're just making tons of money and all of this great stuff. And sorry to burst your bubble, but it's not like that at all. So I wanted these docs to feel just real and raw, and this is my process for how to achieve that style. So first off, we need to figure out the overall tone. What is it gonna be like? Is it gonna be that happy summer vibes thing, or is it more dark and moody and mysterious, or is it sad, somber? What should be the overall tone for your film? And in this case, for my doc series, I wanted it to feel raw. I wanted it to feel like you're there having that conversation with that person. You're right there with them, following along in their daily life, and that is gonna dictate all of the choices I make, from gear to how I film to post-production, all of those things. The overall tone is gonna dictate those. And first up, we have the gear. So what gear is gonna allow you to create that overall tone that you wanted? So for me, I want that raw, real feeling. I'm gonna use handheld. I'm gonna not use any gimbals, none of that fancy stuff. I'm gonna keep it really basic. So all I used was handheld, easy rig. It's kind of like this crazy contraption backpack thing that just makes it easier to film handheld. I had the C300 Mark II on there because I wanted a lot of quality. I wanted to make these really high quality, but at the same time, keep it a little bit smaller. I didn't want a crew around me. If I use something like an Alexa, I'd probably need a small crew to help me out. And that was gonna slow me down in making this really raw, real BTS, really doc-styled doc series. And that was gonna hinder me in being able to follow Jesse wherever he goes, whatever is happening really quickly and fast. So yeah, that was my choice. And then lens choice, I wanted to go wide because I wanted to feel like you're there with them, just kind of like I'm filming right now. I wanted to feel like you're there with them having that conversation. So I only used the Sigma 18 to 35mm f1.8. Great lens, has that wide field, but then also some nice shallow depth of field. And it's nice to kind of limit yourself also and give yourself those guidelines of what gear you're using and what you're gonna stick to keep kind of the overall style for the whole series the same. And then I just had a shotgun microphone, a Rode NTG3 on there. Again, just to keep the crew really small and kind of have this realistic feeling for the audio. You know, if we're really close, the audio sounds a little different, whereas if I'm a little bit further, the audio sounds different now, you know? So I wanted that real feeling instead of just always having like a perfect boom mic on top. That was just my choice. And then you have to decide on how you use that gear that you chose, because there's a lot of different ways you can go with that still. And for me, for this case, I wanted to only have real-time footage, so no slow motion at all. I wanted to be as far away from that 120 cinematic, slow motion, really smooth, perfect movements. I wanted to be really far from that to keep that raw, real feeling as much as possible. And I also made kind of an interesting decision of directing or interviewing and DPing at the same time, because I wanted to kind of feel like I was having the conversation with that person, and that camera was kind of my perspective almost, or if not my perspective, then somebody else there with you, you being right there listening in on the conversation. Not just this like far away view, like a zoomed in interview, like you just watching this little screen. I wanted you to feel like you're right there in the action, having this conversation with Jesse. And then you got to think about how you're gonna put together all of that footage that you got. And for me, again, I was keeping that raw, real feeling. So I didn't have any big B-roll sequences, no slow motion, none of that. Everything basically tells the story of what it's actually like being Jesse. So really mundane things like him making a sandwich, or him one-wheeling to the office, or him taking his kid to the daycare. All of those things, that's my B-roll, keeping it just raw, none of that crazy gimbal, slow motion, none of that stuff. Everything serves the purpose of telling this normal day in the life of Jesse. So everything from the sound, a lot of ambient sounds, the music doesn't ever really take over. It's kind of just amplifying the mood of those different situations, but it's not taking over, it's not driving the edit. Overall, the edit is a little bit slower paced because that's kind of how real life is. Real life isn't action-packed, things moving super quickly. Things happen pretty slowly. A normal day is a little bit more slow-paced than a regular YouTube video, for example. And then also with the color grade, I kept it really natural, subtle, not over the top at all, because again, I didn't want to be distracting. I wanted to feel real and not like some Hollywood, Michael Bay movie with crazy teal and orange. I think I was able to accomplish that. I hope so, at least. So that's kind of my process on how to figure out what style to use for a specific film and how to accomplish that style. Remember, the key is always to use the style that best tells your story, not the one that's necessarily gonna make for the most beautiful or coolest shots. Remember, it's hard to resist that, but you don't always need a gimbal, you don't always need slow motion. Sometimes simple is really great and even better than the gimbal shots. But sometimes gimbals are really great too. Nothing against those either. Yep, this thing's way more fun to just use inside. And soon I'm gonna have more space. When Peter moves out, I'm gonna have a little bit more space. So that's great for my, riding experience. Ah!